that is under item 3, and we're going to move it up tonight because I want to make sure that people are still awake when it is presented. And that is the State of the Village Address, or it's also known as the 2011 Annual Report. At the national level, the tradition of a chief executive giving a verbal State of the Union address dates back to January 8th, 1790, when President George Washington first delivered an annual report to a joint session of Congress that was then sitting in New York City. In modern times, the State of the Union address serves as both a conversation between the President and Congress, and of course, thanks to television, now is an opportunity for the President to promote his party's political agenda for the future. Here in Downers Grove, we have developed our own tradition, which has become known as the State of the Village Address. Fortunately, our village address is less about politics and more about highlighting the successes of the past year. Successes that would not be possible without the collaborative and dedicated efforts of a significant team comprised of village staff, elected officials, stakeholders, and resident volunteers. Like the national address, our residents are able to receive the State of the Village Address through both television and radio. But here you can also attend it in person. And I suspect you can also see it through Twitter and Facebook and any number of different ways that have now become common. Because of course, after all, Downers Grove is both a transparent and a technology community. Hopefully my address tonight will be shorter than President Bill Clinton's 2000 State of the Union address, which took 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 49 seconds to deliver. I will do my best. So without further ado, it is my pleasure and my privilege to present to you for my first time the achievements of 2011 in the State of the Village Address. Now, it is difficult to try to summarize and encapsulate an entire year in about 30 minutes. And it was a very eventful year at that. So tonight we're going to highlight successes organized in 3 categories: stewardship, community investment, and innovation. But what do these words mean? Well, when in doubt, always turn to a definition. What is stewardship? That's a word that we use often here in the village. And as you can see from the definition, it's the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. And we have a great deal as a village council and as a village entrusted to our care. And one example there is the stewardship of natural resources. When it comes to public finances, ladies and gentlemen, your village is a responsible steward. And I can look to 2 significant documents in particular to demonstrate that fact. The first one is the long-range financial plan. The village engages in long-range financial planning every year, and therefore we have a very creatively named document called the long-range financial plan. This financial planning is used to prepare our annual budgets, and in fact it drives the budgets. The budgets are derived from the long-range financial plan. In financial planning, and the long-range financial plan in particular, like diet and exercise, is what allows us to be in such great financial shape despite a very tough economy. In particular, the long-range financial plan has enabled us to reduce operating expenses by over $5 million, reduce staffing by 45 positions since 2008, maintain a AA+ bond rating, which I will point out is substantially better than the state of Illinois' current rating of A2. It also allows us to continue investment in needed public infrastructure improvements, maintain adequate financial reserves, which we have, and achieve long-term financial stability. Bless you. The other document that I would refer to would be the fiscal 2012 budget, which is the document that we will be operating under for this year. This is also a subject and a source of much good news. The highlights of the budget include a balanced general fund with expenses equal to revenues. And in fact, the 2012 budgeted expenses are $1.4 million less than they were 5 years ago in 2007. That's something that not many can say. Another feature is a reduction in the total property tax levy of over $390,000. Now this is going down, our levy is going down this year because the village kept its levy flat and it took advantage of some changes in how pension contributions were calculated, so that we are actually experiencing a reduction in our property tax levy for 2012. And another important feature is that we continue our investment in infrastructure, and that means streets, stormwater, municipal facilities, and sidewalks. In short, ladies and gentlemen, your village is well positioned for the future and well positioned to face the challenges and to exploit the opportunities of the coming year. Now, good stewardship and maintaining fiscal health takes some effort. And beyond good planning, it also requires working actively to bring dollars to the village of Downers Grove. And one way to do that is by actively pursuing county, state, and federal grant dollars. Significantly, the village went out, pursued, and brought in nearly $1.27 million in grants for the year 2011. The 2011 grant awards ranged from as small as $1,400 for streetlight repairs to nearly $263,000 for the Maple Avenue Railroad crossing improvements that were completed this year. This year, I'm glad to say, the village also finally received the $500,000 grant that was promised to us many years ago for the parking deck. And that was actually pledged to us before construction on that facility began. So they were a little late in the payment, but we'll accept it nonetheless. And the village also received a $75,000 grant from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, to cover some of the cleanup costs from the blizzard of 2011. Now, another important way to bring dollars to Downers Grove is through a robust economic development program. This village, your village, is committed to strengthening and enhancing the local economy through economic development efforts. Now, one example that we focus on are automobile dealerships, because they generate significant tax revenue and are a vital component of the local economy. In cooperation with the Economic Development Corporation, the village has implemented a strategy designed to retain existing automobile dealerships, allow them to expand, and to attract new ones. This strategy that started in 2009 has been successful and has continued through 2011. Specifically, last year, 2011, the village entered into 3 sales tax rebate agreements with Packey Webb Ford, Pugie Volkswagen and Hyundai, Bentley of Downers Grove, all of which involved attracting, expanding, and retaining those businesses in our town, as well as improvements to their existing facilities. Also, I would note that Bill K. Buick GMC is currently making improvements to their facility, and the village has previously attracted Ziegler, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram to our community. Now, occasionally we are asked questions as to why we are obsessed or why we focus on automobile dealerships on Ogden Avenue in particular. Well, the reason, very frankly, is because these dealerships generate millions of dollars of sales tax revenue each year. And that, ladies and gentlemen, helps keep property taxes and other taxes lower than they otherwise would be. So it's an important investment that we make to attract and retain these sales tax generators within our community. And believe me, the competition for them from other communities is intense. Another successful economic development program that we've spoken about before has been the OASIS program. OASIS, of course, is an acronym for the Ogden Avenue Site Improvement Strategy Program. This is a program that was launched in 2010 in collaboration between the Village of Downers Grove, the Downers Grove Chamber of Commerce, and the Economic Development Corporation. The program has continued and did continue in 2011 and is designed to improve the economic performance and aesthetic appearance of Ogden Avenue. The program provides matching grants for improvements to both buildings and sites along Ogden Avenue. The money for these grants is generated by the property taxes paid by the very properties along Ogden Avenue in the Tax Increment Financing District, or the TIF district. Now, it's an example of reinvesting in that economic corridor. To date, the village has awarded over 372,000 OASIS grants to 18 separate properties along Ogden Avenue. And the program has resulted in over $1.2 million in private investment along this financial corridor, this commercial corridor. And that's important because for every public dollar that has gone into the program, there have been about 3 private dollars. That's a heck of a return on investment. Let's just look at a couple of quick examples of OASIS projects from last year. One was the A-Lend Auto Facility at 333 Ogden Avenue. That's a substantial site and facade improvement. Another example is the Downers Grove Animal Hospital located at 635 Ogden Avenue. And there are more, obviously. But just as exciting as the success of the OASIS program is that despite the challenging economy, we are seeing some major expansions by major corporate partners in Downers Grove. Two in particular I will mention. Advocate Good Samaritan Hospital has completed a multi-year expansion of a new surgical center which added parking using an environmentally friendly design. Midwestern University has opened a new College of Dental Medicine in 2011 on their Downers Grove campus. And Midwestern University is currently constructing a 200,000 square foot building that will house dental and medical clinics, which will bring new jobs and students to our community. What you're seeing on the screen here is a rendering of the Midwestern University Dental and Medical Facility that is now being constructed along Lacey Road. Now, one cannot be a good steward without good vision, and good vision takes good planning. So I am proud, on behalf of myself, the Village Council, and staff, to have achieved a project in 2011 that was 46 years in the making. As you know, of course, we're talking about the village's new comprehensive plan, which was adopted last year. The prior plan was adopted in 1965, so it was a long time in coming. The new plan illustrates a vision for the physical character of the village for the next 15 to 20 years. Among other things, it promotes unique aspects of the village, is used to attract development and new families to Downers Grove, and puts forth a plan that will protect neighborhoods and open space and provide guidance on a wide range of important issues when making land use decisions, such as economic development, infrastructure, recreation, environmental impact, and also public safety. Having this plan helps guide our decisions down the road and eliminate some of the guesswork. It also helps to set expectations and let people predict what will be coming down the road. I want to particularly thank, on behalf of myself and my colleagues, the dedicated volunteer members of the Comprehensive Ad Hoc Committee who gave of their time and experience to make the comprehensive plan a possibility. Now, speaking of good planning, one, of course, needs to plan in order to succeed, and you also need to plan for success when it comes. There's an old saying about parking in Downers Grove, and that is not having enough of it in your downtown is a good problem to have. Well, it's a problem that, ladies and gentlemen, we have. As we all know, downtown Downers Grove is a popular shopping and dining destination as well as a home to a very busy commuter rail station. In fact, one of the busiest in the entire metro system. In 2011, the village, along with the Downtown Management Corporation, completed a comprehensive downtown parking study. The purpose of the study is to ensure, in cooperation with our partners at the Downtown Downers Grove Management Corporation, that best practices are used to plan and manage available parking. Extensive data collection and stakeholder input was used to understand current conditions and parking demand. Some of the key findings of the study have indicated that parking in the downtown is at or over capacity, that the parking deck is well used, so well used that it is over 90% occupied on weekdays. And finally, another key finding was that the parking system that we currently have does not have sufficient capacity to support future development in the downtown. Bless you. These findings provide invaluable assistance in making improvements to our parking system. Currently, we are working to implement the recommendations from the downtown parking study, which involve increasing the amount of parking available by partnering with the owners of private parking lots, by working with Metra to shift commuter parking spaces to create more convenient parking for shoppers, to add 15-minute short-term parking spaces to improve shopper convenience, and changing parking regulation enforcement practices. Now, another part of being a good steward is also being an advocate for improved services from other entities that have our residents as customers. And boy, did we have a calling to do so last year. All of us remember the extreme weather events or storm events of the summer of 2011 and the extensive power outages that our community, as well as others, experienced during that time. The extreme storm activity of 2011 amplified and magnified the deficiencies that existed in the ComEd system of distributing electricity throughout Downers Grove. In 2011, the village worked to improve the reliability of ComEd's electrical system as an advocate for residents and businesses. The village prepared a reliability report that identified the areas of the village that were experiencing poor reliability and poor service. The reliability report identified causes of power outages and made specific recommendations for improvements. That report was presented at a town hall meeting with senior ComEd representatives and a host of residents on September 15, 2011. In response to the report and that town hall meeting, ComEd is making many of the improvements recommended in the report that the village prepared. Now, nowhere, this work is nowhere near complete, ladies and gentlemen, but meaningful progress is being made, and the village will continue to work with ComEd to make sure that these improvements are made. We're staying on top of this by providing status reports on ComEd's progress on the village website. I, as part of the mayor's report, every meeting give an update as to where we're at, and I will be giving one later tonight. And we are also most recently working through our membership in the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference, regarding the protocols that will be followed by ComEd for improved communication and responsiveness following severe weather events that cause extended electrical outages. Now, as I mentioned in the opening definition of stewardship, good stewardship also includes environmental sustainability. This village, your village, continues to lead the way regarding environmental stewardship through a variety of sustainable best management practices in the areas of recycling, energy and fuel conservation, and environmentally friendly practices. Recycling. What other town do you know loves recycling so much that we have a recycling extravaganza? The village, as you know, once again hosted a recycling extravaganza in September of 2011. Significantly, over 100,000 pounds of electronics were collected. 20,000 pounds of paper was shredded, and 202, had to get those last two in, 202 lead-acid batteries and much more waste was diverted from landfills. The extravaganza proved and has proved so successful that we're now turning it into an ongoing program. Free electronics recycling is now available the first Saturday of each month from 9 a.m. to noon at Village Hall. This is an event that is brought to you by both the village and Creative Recycling. The event is staffed by both village personnel and dedicated community volunteers. Oh, now speaking of recycling, since we're in January, for those of you who would otherwise leave your holiday lights up until Easter, you also should be mindful of our holiday light recycling program. For the second year in a row, the village is accepting used holiday lights and will do so at Public Works at 5101 Walnut from until February 10th. Another part of our energy conservation and environmental sustainability in Downers Grove has to do with energy conservation, particularly with respect to fuels and alternative or green energy. Your village, quite frankly, is a leader in this area. From its green fleet of vehicles to its solar heated facilities, the village of Downers Grove practices energy and fuel conservation on a regular basis. 77% of the village vehicle fleet runs on alternative fuels. That's remarkable. These fuels include B20 biodiesel, compressed natural gas, and hybrid electric fuel power. These alternative fuels are significant, not just because they're greener and more environmentally sensitive, but quite frankly, they're green for another reason. They save money in the form of lower fuel and maintenance costs and help keep taxes down. Now, our programs this year attracted the attention of Congressman Judy Biggert, who actually made a point of coming out to Downers Grove. Not that she doesn't come out to Downers Grove, but she made a point of coming to Downers Grove to take a tour of some of our facilities and see some of the things that we're doing here in this area of green energy. She visited here this past summer on August 12th and toured the solar and wind-powered streetlights in the Prentice Creek neighborhood, and also toured our solar facility, looked at the low-power lights in the parking deck, and also the innovations that are available for review in the fleet maintenance facility in terms of alternative fuels. Well, let's turn to the second category, or the second subject area that I'd like to highlight some successes on from the past year, and that would be community investment. And consistent with the theme, we'll put up another definition of community investment. Investment for the general public, rather than for financial gain, in things such as schools and roads. Well, we're not responsible for the schools, although there are some people here tonight who are, but we are responsible for the roads, among other things. And two of the big infrastructure projects of the last year and in the coming years are stormwater and our roadways. Stormwater projects and roadway reconstruction and maintenance continue to be a major focus of our infrastructure development efforts. In 2011, $11 million were spent for projects across both of these areas. Let's talk about stormwater projects very quickly. Work to mitigate flooding throughout the community is a top priority for the village, as can be seen by the fact that 13 high-priority stormwater projects have been completed since 2009. The village has implemented several environmentally friendly techniques to complete stormwater management projects using things such as native plantings, permeable materials, proper grading, all to improve water quality, stabilize soil, and to reduce erosion. Now, the 2011 projects, pictures of some of which are up there, included a stormwater sewer replacement on Washington from Grant to Ogden, a new storm sewer on Sterling from Grant to Davis, and on Davis from Sterling to Douglas, drainage improvements on 39th Street, and rehabilitation of the storm sewer on Prospect from Lincoln to Chicago. However, without question, the best example of a flood mitigation project using sustainable techniques is the second in Cumnor stormwater facility. Well, prior to this project, the homes and roadways in this area flooded often, and thanks to this project, they no longer do. This project included many different elements: the creation of a natural detention basin, the addition of new storm sewers, enhanced features like a pedestrian walkway and other park amenities, the installation of below-surface filters to improve the quality of runoff from the site, and the installation of native plantings and finished landscaping, which will be completed in the spring of 2012. Let's move to roadways. In 2011, $3.6 million were spent on roadway maintenance projects, including 8 miles of streets that were resurfaced and 22 miles of streets that received crack filling. Now, after inspecting the condition of village streets, it was determined this past year that additional patching was needed prior to the onset of winter. So the following work was also conducted. 48 different street segments were patched by staff throughout the village. Pavement patching increased 100% and improved road conditions. And in 2011, the village also replaced 14 crosswalks in the downtown with a grant of $130,000 from the Illinois Jobs Now program. Lastly, on the topic of community investment, I'd like to briefly discuss the status of one of the most exciting and long-awaited capital projects in the village of Downers Grove. Of course, I'm referring to the Belmont Underpass project. This is a $56 million metro project to improve safety and traffic flow and is running ahead of schedule. Importantly, no village money is invested in this project. Instead, this project is being constructed by Metra, and the village continues to participate on the construction management team. 2 lanes of traffic underneath the tracks were opened in October of 2011, and if you haven't taken the opportunity to drive under it, you really must. It's really neat. And it is estimated that all 4 lanes will be open sometime around June 2012. Once again, the project is running well ahead of schedule. This is a significant public safety project that is due in large part to the hard work of village staff, prior councils, and especially my 2 predecessors as mayor. That brings us to the third category that I'd like to touch upon tonight in terms of highlights for 2011, and that is innovation. Because taking good care of what you have and maintaining it through investment can only take you so far. To truly advance, to successfully overcome the plethora of challenges facing our village organization, we must constantly change and continually innovate. Innovation has the simplest definition of all: a new idea, method, or device. And 2011 has been a showcase for those types of things. Let's take some examples, or what I like to call, and now for something completely different category. What are some of the innovations of the last year that we are celebrating today? The Consolidated Dispatch Center. A great example of innovation and a way to reduce costs is the Consolidated Dispatch Center. In June, the Village of Downers Grove and Westmont introduced consolidated dispatching services for police and fire 911 emergency calls. The Shared Communications Center operates in the existing facilities of the Downers Grove Police Department. It was implemented to reduce overhead costs by sharing operational expenses, and as the slide indicates, this joint effort has resulted in a savings of $300,000 for the Village of Downers Grove and $220,000 for the Village of Westmont on an annual basis. Now, some of you might be saying, okay, that's great, you're saving us money, and I love the intergovernmental cooperation and consolidation, but does this all come at the expense of the level of service that we will receive as residents? Let's talk about that. Actually, the level of service has improved. When the Joint Dispatching Center became operational, the village began dispatching both Westmont and Downers Grove fire departments, treating them as one. Now, the practice is that the closest available fire or EMS unit will respond to a call. The result is reduced response times along the village's eastern border. So the reduced response time, of course, translates into an increased level of service. Better service at a lower cost, all through innovation. Here's a technological innovation that as a commuter I particularly like. It's Commuter Pay by phone. This is another great example of the commitment to continual innovation, and that is the Commuter Pay by phone application. Commuters will know this well, but for those of you that don't have to take the train downtown every day, the village now offers a pay by phone system for users of its daily fee commuter parking spaces. Parkers can now pay for parking spaces using their smartphone or other mobile device. Access to this application or app is available under the Parking and Transportation section of the village's website, which of course is found at www.downers.us. This proves once again that Downers Grove is a technology community as called for in the village's mission statement. Another example of cooperation, collaboration, communication to reduce costs and better serve shared constituents is the Vehicle Fleet Maintenance Agreement. Most recently, the village entered into fleet maintenance agreements with both District 58 School District and CSPAR to provide services for their vehicles at their option. These agreements have the potential to reduce expenses for these organizations, and particularly with respect to the school district, reduce the burden on taxpayers. This also has the benefit of increasing village revenues to share fixed costs for maintenance services that are already being provided. Again, a better use of village services being paid for by your tax dollars. As a village, as a council, and as a staff, as an organization, I should say, we continue to diligently work to identify other opportunities to cooperate, collaborate, and consolidate with both public and private entities to collectively enhance our service and reduce costs to our shared constituents, which of course are the residents of the village of Downers Grove. Key to our success in this regard are our partnerships. These partnerships with both public and private entities are a key component of our success. And fortunately, the village has and continues to enjoy strong working partnerships with the Downers Grove Economic Development Corporation, the Downers Grove Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the Downtown Downers Grove Management Corporation. Together, we continue to work together actively to strengthen our local economy in Downers Grove. Now, of course, in Downers Grove, we all know what an exceptional organization this is and how successful they can be in innovation. But it sure is nice every now and then when the outside world acknowledges that as well. And I'm very pleased to share with you some recognitions that we received as an organization from outside Downers Grove in terms of our exceptional service and innovation. Here are a few of the numerous awards and recognitions that the village has received exemplifying its commitment to exceptional municipal services. For example, the village received the 2011 Illinois Crime Prevention Association Unit of the Year. This was awarded to our community-oriented policing team for their work building strong community partnerships and improving the quality of life of our residents. For those of you that aren't familiar with them, community-oriented policing services include domestic violence liaison to the Family Shelter Services, tobacco enforcement, and senior citizen investigations and crime prevention programs. Another recognition was the Joseph Hartman Award of Excellence. This was awarded to our fire department by our partners at Advocate Good Samaritan Hospital for excellence in the delivery of emergency care. This, of course, stemmed from the miraculous rescue of a worker who was pinned against a wall by two 800-pound air conditioner coils. It was quite a miraculous rescue. Our finance department has also received recognition, not just one, but two awards. The Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, recognized our financial department in their excellence twice this year. First was a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 2010 Comprehensive Annual Report, and the second was the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. Finally, in terms of successes that we want to celebrate and outside recognition, was national recognition for our innovative approaches. Muni Net Guide, a portion of which is on the slide here, recently posted an article about how innovation is driving results at Village Hall in Downers Grove. Muni Net Guide, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it outside of the municipal world, is an online resource specializing in municipal matters and is used by those who are researching municipal bonds. Muni Net Guide summarized the efforts that Downers Grove has taken to create a culture where employees are empowered to innovate, to improve services, and save resources and money. In the interest of time, I could go on and on and on, but I will bring this to a conclusion. And I have to tell you that I tried but could not come up with a better closing slide than the one that was already written for me by the folks at Muni Net Guide. From their posting, they said as follows, quote, "Innovation is not just a fancy buzzword in Downers Grove. Rather, it has become an official ingredient in the village's recipe for success. Ladies and gentlemen, with innovation as our official ingredient, there is no telling what terrific things we can cook up for this community in 2012 and beyond. But you can sure bet that there's a plan to do so, and that this council and this organization has a bucket list of innovation and achievements for the coming year." I would like to thank all of you for listening so intently to this presentation. It truly was a challenge and a struggle to try to compress an entire year into a brief presentation. I'd like to thank all who helped make this presentation possible and helped me put it together. They also struggled trying to condense a very eventful year with much to celebrate into a brief presentation. I particularly want to thank my council colleagues and village staff for creating an environment that allowed such successes to occur, because without them, I wouldn't have such wonderful things to share with you. And I certainly wouldn't have so much good news and optimism for the next year. And I also finally would like to thank all the residents of Downers Grove for affording me the privilege of giving this address, and for my colleagues and I on the Village Council to continue to be good stewards of your most precious asset, the Village of Downers Grove. And with that, I thank you for your attention. That ends the 2012 or the 2011 year-end report, also known as the State of the Village Address. Thank you.